Hi everyone, welcome back to my space. Welcome to Ify space. I'm outside, but it's still my space. I decided to just, change the environment a little bit, and I am hoping it ends well because there's always a lot of noise going on outside in Malta. Well, today I'll be talking about culture shocks and pointing out the ones that there are quite a lot, and I'm sure I would have an updated version at some point. But these 10 culture shocks, I think 9 or 10, really stood out for me. It was actually a shock that I was like, whoa. All right, so let's just get started. All right, so number one shock, in no particular order, right? Number one shock would be tips, giving of tips. And by the way, the culture shocks I'll be talking about, I'm comparing them to my experience in Nigeria. Giving tips, like, it was really, really new to me because in Nigeria, this is what we consider it bribery. Do you understand? But here, when you like go to restaurants, especially, it will actually even be there like, oh, tips, like how much do you want to give as tips. I think some places in some countries they actually like have a compulsory percentage of the entire bill that you have to give as tips. In fact, like if you're going on a cruise, for example, tips have to be included. And even aside those tips, like even while on the cruise still, you're expected to kind of, while on the cruise or maybe a restaurant, you're expected to actually like, still tip the waiters and all. It's a good one, but it was a shock for me because there was nothing like this in Nigeria. Another shock is the fact that people start work really early in Malta. From the age of 16, once they are done with high school, they start working. Some go into full-time job immediately and forget about continuing their studies. Some actually go on to further their studies but still work alongside. I know of someone who is studying to become a lawyer. She works in a legal firm already as an admin assistant, or it could be IT. You're studying to become an IT professional, you're working. So they're not really big on education here. Once you have the required skills and experience, that's fine. To be honest, you will see someone in their mid-20s and they'll be like, they have 10 years working experience. And I'm like, what? Did you start working from the womb or something, But that's because they kind of started working right from high school and they've gained a lot of experience and they have very vast knowledge of that particular field. So in most companies, you will see that most of them did not actually, complete their university education, not to talk about pursuing masters and the likes. Not all, obviously, if you are going to be working as an educationist or in a hospital or IT, most IT companies or like really, really companies that would, of course, require professional and education and skills, for sure not. Someone that you might be reporting to in the office, your boss might even just be like an O-level or an A-level holder, and that's because they've gained and built a lot of experience over time. Sorry about the noise, I am outside, so it is expected, okay? Another shock that wowed me was the use of certain words, especially when dealing with children or even just generally. You don't just say certain words carelessly, as in it might be misinterpreted. I'll just give a quick experience I had when I was looking for a job in the first few months. Obviously, I really wanted to do anything, right? So I went to a preschool to kind of work I wanted to work as a child carer. Obviously they wanted me to, they interviewed me and all, and they wanted to consider me because obviously my mom has a school. I've always been very, very, I feel like I felt I had a lot of experience, working in a school environment for a long time, right from when I was, growing up, okay? So I went to this childcare that day to see how I would perform, and of course, and there was this particular little boy that I was speaking to. I was like, "Oh, are you okay? Are you okay?" And the head of schools heard me from where she was, and she was like, "Oh, no, we don't say that here. You don't say so." I'm like, "No, I just asked him." I said, "Okay, that's fine. It's okay. You're done for today. You've tried." And she tried to start speaking with the boy, trying to reassure him, build his confidence. And I'm like, what did I say? Come on, it's just, are you okay? And of course she paid me off for the number of hours I had worked, and that was it. It was really, really embarrassing because I just felt it was just a simple question, But apparently, you don't just speak carelessly here. You can't even just say, oh, you're fat or you're slim. They consider it very offensive, or you are this, you're dark, or you're light. Like, I mean, they consider all these things really, really offensive. And it's a shock. I mean, it was a shock because, right, looking at where I'm coming from, nothing like that. Even something like, it was recently I even heard it was something called catwalking. Catcalling. That it's actually a crime, and if you are reported, you could get into trouble. Catcalling, like, okay, a lady is walking on the road and a guy approaches her and is like, oh, trying to speak to her, hey, hello, how are you doing? Trying to, like, it's actually offensive. And I'm like, okay. Comparing it to where I'm coming from, Nigeria, it's a regular thing. As on the good, in fact, they can even assault you by even trying to even touch you and all. Obviously, it's not a good thing, but it was, strange seeing that it made headlines at some point here in Malta, and you can actually get reported and get into trouble, right? So, I mean, things like that really, really kind of shocked me, and it took a lot of getting used to. Speaking about the fact that you cannot use names randomly, another shock was in terms of racism. People talk about the fact that, oh, there's a lot of racism abroad in Malta. Malta is so racist, low-key, maybe not so very loud. I've been living here for over 5 years, 6 years this year, and I have never experienced any sort of racist behavior or racial abuse. Actually, or will I say I've grown a thick skin, and maybe when they racially abuse me, I don't even know that that is what racism is all about. I don't know. Okay, for example, the first place I worked in a real estate company as an office administrator, right? There was a particular day, a lady, I think a couple of us colleagues were just talking and all, and someone just mentioned, like, oh, that where you come from. Okay, I think I was trying to talk to them about Nigeria or something. So she was like, oh, where you come from? Did they call you guys black, or what did they call you guys? That she doesn't want to use a particular term that might be racial and all. And every other person looked at her like, no, you don't do that. That's you being racist already. And they kept on like kind of, let's say, reprimanding her. And I'm like, she didn't say anything wrong. It's not a big deal. She only asked the question. And yes, I am black, because that's what I thought. I'm black, proudly black for that matter. It's not an offense if you call me black. I don't know if you get my point. Like, it's not a big deal. And they're like, no, here we do not. It's considered racism if you talk to someone or describe someone by their skin color. I'm like, how? It's not a big deal at all. Like, in fact, it was so, the next day, I think the branch manager heard it and actually walked up to me to kind of, apologize about it, like, oh, so sorry about this and all. They're not that kind of people. And I'm like, well, this thing is not a big deal though. Maybe because where I come from, we are very tribalistic. This tribe will be fighting against this tribe, not as in denying one's rights just because of your tribe and looks and stuff. So I feel that I've been way more tribally abused back home in Nigeria compared to even here. I mean, compared to anywhere else in the world for that matter. So I don't know. I feel that racism, if I would consider something racial abuse, maybe they actually kind of denied me of a very, very basic right just because of my color, or you actually spit on me or beat me. I don't know, but I've not experienced it basically. Okay, I think my daughter as well, in one instance, I think someone in the bus called her black. Like, oh, she's too black, that she was so black or something. I think someone else heard and kind of, obviously, I don't think she saw it as a big deal, right? Someone else heard and reported, and it was a problem. I think the person even had to get suspended or something. And of course, it never happened again. I didn't consider that racism. It's not a big deal, Even some of her friends, very close friends, they actually love her because of her hair. I mean, they feel, oh, the hair is very, very nice. They like the texture and all of that because of her hair. And that has really built her confidence in terms of her hair. So she doesn't even really like extensions. She loves me making her hair without extensions because she feels that people love her natural hair. Like, anytime she makes her natural hair, she says in her class, the teacher, the head teacher, everyone is always like, oh wow, your hair is so nice, it's so like, they just love the way it looks, So I mean, what people might really consider racism, I personally have not seen it, I've not witnessed it, I've not experienced it in any way or form. I mean, where I come from, tribalism, is on 100%, you get killed because of your tribe. You get abused, you get like molested, because, like you get denied where to even live because of your tribe. It is terrible. So for me, it can never be that bad, you know. I think I mentioned this in my pros of living in Malta. Malta is a very friendly environment. But why I say it's a culture shock is that initially, first few months of living here, I used to just be like, mind your business, why are you looking at me, or why are you, I don't know you, I don't have to talk to you. And it's a very bad mentality. I didn't consider it as friendliness, because where I'm coming from, if you don't know the person, if you are not friends or you are not family with the person, that's it. No, like I was trained to always mind my business, never speak to strangers. Like in fact, if a stranger is speaking to you, just run or call for help. That is how I was trained. That is the mentality I brought in here. So the first few weeks when I would come here and we'll be walking on the street and they'll be like, oh, how are you guys? Hello, where are you from? And they want to they will start conversations, and my children, obviously, they were still young, you know, they would answer, even my husband also would. And I'm like, I'll be moving on, I'll be like, you don't know this person, why are you speaking to the person? Do you understand? So it took a lot of getting used to for me to just know that they are actually very loving and friendly. They actually care and want to know more about you. Speaking about friendliness as well, you know, there's a lot of companies, they would organize like free first aid trainings for their staff, you know, schools as well. So almost 1 in like 10 people in Malta would be first aid, would have first aid training and would be able to offer basic, maybe CPR or basic first aid training in case of problems. You know, my husband went to one recently, and for him, like the motive behind it was, it's not even about you, it's about helping people. Someone might be in danger on the road, but because of the kind of training you have, you might help the person. The other day we were on the road, someone just kind of bumped into another vehicle just in our presence, and like vehicle stopped and we were trying to like gather around her, give her first aid assistance, although it wasn't like she needed CPR and all, but they said it was shock, she was suffering from shock. And I'm like, okay, shock, is there something called shock? You know, so there's some things they're doing to her to kind of revive her again. Some people are calling like the ambulance already. Like, it was just a very positive thing, you know, and that's just because everyone actually does care. Back home in Nigeria, the first thing people will do is to bring out their phones to record, take video recordings or pictures, and before you know it, you land on blogs and all, you know. So people actually do care and are very friendly here. So another shock was the feasts. The number of feasts, festivals and fireworks here is alarming. Like the very first week, I think, when I moved here, I thought I heard gunshots, like consistent gunshot, and I'm like, oh my god, I was really panicking because shortly before I moved to Malta, I had very negative experiences with gunshots and all. So I thought it was gunshot, and I'm like, oh my god, not again in this country. And my husband was like, calm down, it's just fireworks. That maybe it's from a church close by. They are doing, like, they have periods when they have fireworks. In fact, speaking about fireworks, there's a fireworks festival coming up next week. So if you're in Malta, you should attend. I would attend, and I'll see if I can capture some videos and post up. Or it's usually a big deal here. Fireworks competition between different localities, even countries as well, right? So you have a lot of fireworks, a lot of festivals. You'll be hearing different kind of feasts. Oh, Feast of the St. Paul's, our Mary of, like different kind of feasts and festivals. Speaking about festival, just last weekend there was a strawberry festival. Well, we're going for Frolly. What's strawberry malted?
Fraula. Yeah. Fraula. Festi al Fraula.
Okay, whatever it is.
For a strawberry.
I don't speak. So is it Fraula or Frauli? Because
Fraula. Frauli. Festi al Frauli.
No,
Basically, it means
Frauli is
no,
many strawberries.
Yeah, I know.
And
Okay.
Fraula
So like
is
the
one.
plural.
So feast for strawberries.
Okay. So
Many strawberries.
Festi
So-
are Frauli, right? Okay.
But if
So
you
we are
need
currently
only
there,
one,
and it's at a jar.
if you need only one strawberry
Jar in
Fraula.
a jar. Fowler, okay, Fowler is one, right?
Yeah,
Then
Frowley
Fowley
is
is,
Who knows more Maltese? Me or Mom?
of course, you will now. How many more? I don't know any.
You don't know anything.
You had
you
3
know
years
that.
at school learning Maltese. What do you expect?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that real? That's real.
I think so. I was so surprised seeing a lot of people. Like I didn't know. I've never been in a gathering in Malta where there were this as an amount of people. There were so many people. Like what? I'm like, what happened? What did Strawberry do to deserve such honor? Right? It was such a big deal. Different kind of strawberry festival is usually done once a year, just before summer. And I think during summer there will be like a strawberry competition, some strawberry art competition amongst children as well that they organize, where the children will show their artistic skills regarding strawberry. So it could be painting about strawberry or whatever it is, just kind of expressing yourself about regarding strawberry, just strawberry, you know. So they have lots of festivals, a lot more. Work ethics in Malta, like I think I've talked about this before, that they do not take life, that life is not that hard. They don't work till late at night, or most Sundays you would find that most stores are not open. Do you understand? Like, so when you want to go shopping at the rest, I remember obviously compared to where I'm coming from, like till 12 midnight, I'm sure the grocery store close to you will be open. But here in Malta, by 6 o'clock, 7 p.m, most stores are closed. On Sundays, they do not open, so you have to like kind of really plan ahead. So they just take life, like life is, they don't, yes, they want to make money, but it's not that deep. Even though they know that they would, you know, make a lot of money on public holidays, no store is open, except maybe very big supermarkets, 1 or 2 actually. But major supermarkets and stores close by, no way, they are not open on Sundays. They will be with their family and all, like they would rather enjoy themselves than open any store to make money. So they are not crazy about, you know, making money. Another culture shock, this was very interesting as well, is meeting key people. The very first company I worked in, the very first time I met the CEO, he just came, he was saying hello, he was really chatting with me and we were speaking, and I didn't even know who he was because I had not met him before then. It was later on I just found out that, oh, he's actually the CEO and the company where I work in now. I remember when my boss at the time was like, oh, okay, I needed to speak with the CEO as well before I signed the contract, and I'm like, CEO, wow, why? You know, and I actually met with him, we were just, you know, chatting and all, and it was actually very cool. Aside this, like for example in Malta, we have like maybe the Minister of Education, Minister of Health, they go live, run like certain time, they just go live to answer questions from the general public. So you can actually join the live and, you know, be asking questions that would actually be answered no matter what. Do you understand? Like, it's, I don't know, it just gives you that, like, you are very close to those in higher authority. I attend Lighthouse Assembly, just like I mentioned in my last video. If you've not watched it, go up there and see it. You know, so recently the church was being registered, and the administrators at the church, you know, needed to, of course, register it with the voluntary organization in Malta. And of course, during the course of communication and all, they were like, oh, one of the things that needed to be, they're like, oh, they needed to meet with the commissioner in charge of voluntary organizations in Malta, and they're like, commissioner, why? Do you understand? Usually back home, like, I've never seen a like, I don't even know who they are. Do you get? Like, they needed to actually schedule a meeting with him and speak with him, and they actually had that meeting for over 1 hour. And based on what I heard, like, it was a very, very lovely meeting, good conversations. They learned a lot from each other. Like, do you understand? It was really, really good to see. Normally, where I come from is just the signature, really, that they need, So there are no levels upon levels before you meet those in power or those in authority. You would actually be heard. Like, that's one thing that I really, really love about this environment. Maybe because it's a small country, so everyone is pretty much within reach. You don't have to go through one level or the other before you meet the key people really in organizations, in the country, in government. Another thing is the small size of cars here in Malta and parking. Right? I don't know, like let's say 90% or 95% of vehicles in Malta are small. It was a shock for me when I came, because coming from a country where, in fact, if you drive that kind of car, the kind of cars you drive in Malta, if you drive it in my country, Nigeria, you'll be considered as someone who is just managed. If your car is not big, like you're not driving an SUV and all that, you've not arrived, you're just there, you're just struggling, really, So like here, majority of the vehicles are small, and I think it's because of I don't know, maybe it's because of the narrow roads or the fact that parking is actually a big deal. Speaking about parking, I remember the very first day I arrived in Malta, so we got to our house, and so I saw that there were vehicles in front. Of course, we're living in the Mercedes. I saw that there were vehicles in front, and at that time we didn't have a car. So I was like, why are people parking in front of our house? This is wrong and all of that. My husband was just laughing at me like, where do you think you are? This space is for no one, anyone that so it was a shock. I was like, okay, so is that how it works here? I thought everyone would actually have a dedicated car space. So far you rent from a particular building or whatever, but that's why it is here. The cars are very small and parking is a big deal. In fact, I think there was a particular street I passed that same day, and I was like, why are there so many cars on the road? Is there a party going on? Because in Nigeria, when you see that, you'll feel that, okay, there's something going on somewhere close by. But no, they're actually car parking spaces. People park on the road here. Some buildings do have garages, right? But not every building. And even though the buildings have, not everyone would get an opportunity to actually purchase or rent a car space, So that is how it is here. The cars are small and you hardly find park. In Malta, like, it's very, very it's a very simple lifestyle. You really cannot tell who is rich or not, or who has what, or who has, your neighbor might actually be a prime minister. Yeah. The very first time I realized this was close to our former church then, and then they're like, oh, the prime minister actually stays here, and I'm like, what? Where? Here? Like, I looked at the house and I'm like, how? How? Like the president might be passing, or whoever is passing, you will not hear sirens, loud, unnecessary sirens blowing just because there's a president passing. Like, the president might actually just pass and you not know that is it. Okay, maybe you might see like 2 or 3 bikes and that's it. There's no long entourage or clearing on the road or anything. Everybody just kind of lives together. Like, compared to where I'm from, you cannot be as close as maybe 2 kilometers to where you would, the president's office or house or whatever, because of course there will be several security levels and all. The other day I was I passed in front of the parliament. I was like, I've only seen this building. Which building is it? Like, oh, that's the parliament. I'm like, this one. Wow. Because it wasn't like I expected, like, oh, a lot of security detail. I can't really say, oh, this particular area is where the rich stay. Well, recently I got to know that, oh, there are some areas, some estates actually that, who will even say where the rich stay? Maybe houses are just very expensive there, or they're just mostly villas there. And maybe, oh, these villas have been inherited from generation onto generation, so, and it could just be like regular people living there. So you really cannot define, oh, these are the rich, these are the high and mighty, these are the poor, compared to where I am from. Oh no. The rich. I know there are some areas in Malta that are very, poorly taken care of compared to others. But even in those areas that are poorly taken care of, you still see very, very, as in people who are well-to-do, and you would not know. See, you see someone that has a lot of estate, properties and all, the car they'll be driving will be a very basic. In fact, there was one that I saw recently. This guy has a lot of properties, a lot of houses across Malta. You see the vehicle he even drives. That vehicle, if they dash me that vehicle, I will not collect. I will not collect the vehicle, you know. So they are not, you would not know that, oh, this person is so well to do. In Malta, it was very shocking to see that they do not have fences or compounds. Do you get your window? The window to your living room might just be right on the major road. Like, I was very shocked when I saw it. I mean, when I moved into Malta, like, no compound, because growing up, man, I've always grown up in a very large compound. We live in our compound alone. When I even got married as well, we live in like very huge compounds where we had big fences and they would still jump over the fence. So imagine coming to a country where they didn't even have a fence. Even the windows. I remember when I entered the flat that we had rented then, there was no burglary proof. I'm like, no way. I told my husband, there's no way I'm sleeping in this house. Why is there no burglary proof? Do you understand? Because I feel someone can just open the window and jump in, and we're living on a mezzanine. We've always lived in mezzanine. And that's one reason why we loved all the houses we've gotten actually have mezzanines, because I need to have like a yard, you know. I'm a fan of having some sort of space, private space, do you get? You know, so, and I'm like, why is there no burglary proof? Anyone can just jump in. My husband was like, don't worry, that's not how it is here. And to be honest, so far that I've been living here in Malta, I've not seen any house with a burglary proof. No. So, Malta, there's no compound. If you are used to having a very big compound, very big space, there's nothing like that here in Malta. No way. I think there are about 8 or 9 culture shocks that I have mentioned so far. Thank you so much for watching.